Drums, please.
The Babbling Heads podcast.
Oh, wait.
Sneak on the beat.
When's the next batch of hot sauce coming?
I'm actually hoor. Dis klaar. Dan het 'n môre message.
The Babbling Heads podcast.
Yo, what's up? This is the Base 187 and welcome to the Babbling Heads podcast.
I'm DJ Fingaz.
JoeZone.
Charlie X2C.
I'm altijd remind what. And this week we're featuring one of Cape Town's long-standing b-boys, also a practitioner in physiotherapy. We'd like to welcome DJ B-boy Dr. Barry Baumgart, aka B-boy Bear.
Thank you for having me.
Check in. So it was late 1990s, right? He was on the Fat Joe show, right? Just taking you guys back. So he's on the Fat Joe show and he comes back. He
Not
gets,
Fat Joe USA, Fat Joe South Africa.
on the TV show.
Lipper.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
SABC3.
Oh, yeah.
and he gets back to the Bush radio, man. And he gives a speech and he says, check it, guys. We don't just need DJs, man. We don't just need b-boys, rappers, graffiti artists. We need doctors. We need medical aid people. We need lawyers that can help with the contracts and stuff like that, man.
Publicists and
Now, fast forward, now we have you no? in the industry. So what he was saying is actually coming through now, man. So today we want to celebrate that growth. You know what I'm saying? So give us just how you transitioned from just being a b-boy, because I know you're a DJ as well, and how your professional life, like how did that come in?
Yeah, I mean, so I think that what Dee was talking about then is something that's been echoed over the years as well. And I actually reposted a status that was on Facebook yesterday, I think, saying the exact same thing, is that we want or need more professionals who have skills in the industry to because they're passionate about being in the industry, passionate about the community and the culture, but have a skill set other than just a DJ, dancer, MC. And so that is something that I agree with and want to push more and more. But for me and my journey, I guess I started it all at UCT when I was studying physiotherapy. So I got there in 99 and suddenly got exposed to UCT radio, where I then learned how to DJ at the radio show. Was in electronic music at the time, drum and bass, and I had a specialist show, but I learned how to play vinyl there. Oh, yeah. And then, Azul and Easy used to come in and do their show, a hip-hop show, just before my slot. So there was that sort of interaction, getting to meet those guys. And at the same time, I was learning to break. At the same time, I was starting my journey as a physiotherapist. So, like, it was like a...
End.
Yeah, it was just a perfect storm of all of that starting out at the same time. So, for me, it was starting late in age as a b-boy, but I was just fascinated by it, determined to connect with the community, and so started hosting sessions as soon as I could, mainly so that I could grow and meet people and bring people together, because that's always been a big part of my influence in the community, has been to gather people. And so then, started learning how to break, was learning how to DJ, and then once I qualified, as I was going forward as a physiotherapist, I just saw that there was all this knowledge in the sports science world that was there for athletes, but we didn't see any of that coming across in the dance world. There was, all the traditional dance styles like ballet, contemporary, modern, etc. They had practices for things like warm-up, for strengthening, that were sort of 100 years old, and there was just like no progression. And I used to then see these people as patients and see, okay, but how are you? And I'd ask, how are you doing conditioning? How are you looking after your body? and it was just like, okay, well, we do this, and I thought, okay, there's this gap now. So again, my profession started to, as I grew in it, started to grow back toward coming to the dance community and seeing this need to add my skills to fill that space and try and help the dance community to become more professional in their approach and have sustainable careers and so that's kind of how it
Terry,
grew.
we spoke to Terry Sols. He speaks very highly of you. He says now you help moves a lot, just to realign the body and stuff like that. Now he says,
I mean, what helps is being a dancer, being, training that way, knowing what the dancers are facing in terms of their struggle to progress, to grow and develop their skill, and then coming in as a practitioner who also understands the healing process, what's needed to recover and what's needed to prevent, which is a big thing that my workshop series have been trying to focus on, is like prevention is always better than cure, they say. Yeah.
On that note, like the prevention is better than cure. Like as your body gets older as a b-boy and as an athlete, obviously it's starting to deteriorate. Like and you not as me and yourself, we're getting older. Is there anything that you do? There's certain tricks that you do besides like physiotherapy to prolong your career, like sort of.
Yeah, so I mean,
or to help you, like sort of.
Yeah. So I think it's all about the approach, and from whether you are 16 years old or 40 years old like me, your approach needs to be disciplined. You need to be seeking out knowledge in things beyond what you already know, what you already do, because medical science doesn't know everything also. So I realize within physiotherapy, I don't know everything there is to know. There are all these civilizations like in Asia who've had practices for thousands of years, but nothing documented in science, yet it's valuable. So always having a seeking mind to learn more, and by keeping that like open mind to learn, I think you naturally attract information to yourself, and you can then start to learn to discern what's useful and what's not. So you try it, you experiment on yourself, because I'm my own walking experiment. Like the whole time, from the time I started breaking and my physiotherapy journey, that's kind of how I learned at a sort of older age.
But there is books and stuff like that you obviously can because that was my question. How do you gain more techniques and things? Is there like books that you
in which field? In physio. So with physiotherapy, luckily the profession demands CPD, which is continuous professional development, and it's actually a phrase that it should be brought in across any profession, is that you should continuously develop yourself professionally. So we have to attend a certain number of courses in a year, and those courses have to be certified courses, and then you are able to keep your license. So if you don't, they can take your license away. So it's courses, practical courses where you're learning techniques, or theory courses where you are reading through journal articles and looking through scientific journals as well, and then completing examinations, etc. So that's how the profession continues to grow.
But that's quite similar to the Kaizen principle, which is the continuous learning. It's a Japanese phrase for continuous learning and improvement. With that being said, it's like if you're looking at the similarities, or where one of the foundations of b-boying or origins is actually the Shaolin, the Kung Fu. That was one of the.
Is that so?
Yeah, it's one of the foundations of b-boying. It's like where a lot of moves are taken. It's like Wu-Tang references all the time. It's if you're looking at, like you saying, there's a lot of Asian
this is interesting
history that comes with that. And if you're looking at how the Shaolin monks have adapted and learned Kung Fu and taken Kung Fu to different heights, like with the transcending pain, body, whatever, guys can walk on nails and things, have hammers thrown at their balls and shit. But I mean, if you're looking at the diet, and that's like where I'm coming to, how does diet play a role in terms of your body being regenerating, and like, because like you said, when we get older, our joints start going, our cartilage starts going. But yet in Asian countries, they will continuously say, chicken feet contains a lot of collagen. So you just look at smooth skin, whatever the case may be. It's like they taking a lot of things, and like our westernized diet says like, oh no, you can't eat chicken feet. You go to the townships, people eat the chicken feet, gizzards, whatever, all the stuff, intestines. But like, it's a lot of things. It's taboo, and it's less. It's foie gras or ox liver done in a certain way. They're not gonna eat organs or tripe and trots. It's like, no, we don't eat that. We're above that. But yet, there's a lot of things in terms of diet that could assist your body, and especially in Chinese herbal medicine. Like you said, there's no necessity or medical thing to say like, okay, ginseng does this, ginger does that. But if you're looking at Japanese people's lives, longevity, Chinese lives, the longevity, and their diets, how do you start incorporating that? For as an athlete and sports person, and you're having lesser carbs, whatever, higher protein, but more herbs as well.
Yeah.
And the ways of eating, like how to unlearn the fast food generation to that, and how that can help promote your body.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's always, if you want to perform like an athlete, you need to put in the right fuel. I always equate athleticism with, when I'm talking to clients, with motor racing. So if you think of a daily driver car, average car you can buy at Toyota, that car needs to be serviced once a year, every 15,000 Ks, and that all it will do for you is do a daily drive to work and back, or to the shops and back, and serve your family like that. But if you want to have a motor racing spec car, a car that's going to get on the track, that's going to push high speed, that's going to brake hard, that's going to corner hard.
Indeed, Subaru, WRX, Works,
Then
STI.
then you need to put in the right fuel.
Yeah.
It's a different octane fuel, right? It's a different kind of servicing that happens on a weekly basis. It's replacing parts on a weekly basis. So there's a different approach if you want different performance.
Yeah.
And so again, it's approach, mindset, and the discipline that comes into wanting to improve performance and longevity in your performance, with putting the right things in. So, there's lots of trends that come about with diet, and at some point they're pushing, high protein, high fat, and then at some point, veganism, and at some point,
keto,
different types,
So there's the one thing that the trends show us is that no one thing is fit for everyone.
Yes.
Okay, so try things. I would say
see what suits your body.
See what suits your body, because not everybody can survive on a vegan approach. I get the kind of universal principles also in veganism, but you have to try it and see. Your body will tell you, how you feel, how you recover, how you perform as an athlete will usually show up. So yeah, the fast food generation is a problem. Anything fast
That's bad.
is
But like, check it, like say, with you now in this niche, tell me like where's it taking you? Because I bumped into you in 2017 at the notorious IBE in the Netherlands, in Holland, and you were actually doing a talk on physiotherapy in your body, and this is one of the biggest international b-boy festivals, and this man secured himself a spot there as not just DJing but also competing as well as from a medical point. So where has it taken you over the years?
So I mean, that opportunity was amazing. IBE was always an event that we watched videos of and were just like, wow, this is where you want to be at one stage in your life as a b-boy. It's like the pilgrimage you needed to make, or to freestyle session, or to battle of the year, or to those kinds of events. So I had gotten in touch with the hosts, and they knew a little bit about what I'd been doing, and I said I'd like to share this information, because I felt there was a need for it. Like dancers needed this kind of information, and the title of the workshop was "How to Heal Your Breaking Body." So, bit of a play on words.
Yeah.
You know,
Pun intended.
yeah, like, and the breaking body is that, as you say,
The
we
aging
naturally
body.
are degenerating
Yeah.
over time. It's normal. But there are ways to slow down that process or prolong certain periods within your life with certain approaches. And then, I had, I mean, it didn't just come about out of nothing. Actually, what happened was somebody approached me from Europe saying, would I be willing to write a few articles for this dance community magazine called Bybase?
Okay.
And so I wrote a series of articles. I think in total was about 4 or 5 of them over a period of 6 months. And that went out to the dance community. It was a mix of things, like there was like the fit base element, which is what I was writing. There was stuff about events. There was stuff about other dance news. And then the Bybase kind of head secured a spot at IBE
Yeah.
to have some kind of platform. And then they said to me, well, you know, would you like to come and do a piece of that? And so it was a step-by-step process, and putting work in, kind of looking for the door, stepping into the door, and then the later opportunity. So it didn't just sort of fall out of the sky. And
No, for sure. Because I mean, at that same event, I saw you, Saman, who was like one of our Battle of the Year partners. He was speaking to you, and you just whipped out your iPad, and you basically what he has this app on his iPad, and will show you the exact exoskeleton. He'll go exactly and show you like where. I'm like, bruh, what fucking future new tech shit is this, man? Bro? It's like these are the table of the. No, but it's like it was wicked. Was the fact that technology has progressed. The fact that you can now go and do a live consultation with somebody. And this, but I was like saying like, okay, well, I'm sure it was his elbow or something.
I can't remember what he was.
But yeah, but he was able to like give him like a quick diagnosis on the spot.
Talking about that, no? About the diagnosis, I saw, just doing research, man, I saw there was a model that was killed by a chiropractor. I think it was uploaded 2016, so it's probably. So how do you go about? Because you could kill somebody if you wanted to. It's like
Just like that.
you can't do that, man.
So there are
You have to up
techniques.
at level on the dingus, no? On the effects.
There are the techniques called manipulations,
Yeah.
and they're more commonly done by chiropractors. But I also do manipulations, and osteopaths do manipulations, and Chinese medicine practitioners do manipulations. So it's the quick thrusting motions around the spine. And so when you've got somebody on the table and you're doing a rotation manipulation, if you get that wrong, you could break someone's neck and paralyze them.
So how do you go about, if you're not familiar with the brass injuries and stuff like that? How do you go about to work around that and
Well, that's why in the process of an assessment, there would be a very detailed history being taken. So I'd speak to the client, find out, exactly how they came into my rooms, what's been the process, what's been their injury history over time, because all of those things add up to this point of where they're at right now. And then they also start to highlight what my precautions should be. So if somebody says they've got, tendency to get dizzy when they turn their head to one way, and I think, okay, manipulation's not for you. Or they look down and then they get blackouts, those are kind of, we look for what we call red flags.
Yeah, red flags. Yeah.
So the red flags stick out from the history taking, and then it guides what the treatment approach is going to be.
I have this problem when I sit in a corner and drive. Then
He's asking for prognosis now.
Then my left foot, will always be like this, where this is straight. So that would be an adjustment to this side, no?
Maybe.
Maybe higher to just do.
Maybe. The thing is, I think that in some professions, they get a little bit too focused on asymmetries. So asymmetries is where there's a slight imbalance. Now, if you think of starting out with hand dominance, the fact that you have a dominant hand means there's going to be an imbalance. There's going to be more muscle or a different shape of that muscle on the dominant side compared to your non-dominant. So when usually younger practitioners look at people and go, "Ooh, you've got a big difference here in your right side arm and compared to your left side arm, and your right shoulder slightly dropped there, and your leg looks a bit short. Some of those things are just part of
Everybody just
how we
adjusts to
work.
the posture, right?
Because if you, with experience, you learn to know, okay, the dominant side shoulder is slightly lower than the left. That's a normal anomaly. Leg length differences are normal within 2 centimeters of each other. So those kinds of things we don't chase unless it's part of the problem. So it always gets filtered down to, is this actually part of the problem or not?
Do you also do the hammer? The hammer,
No.
there's a
I've seen that.
on Facebook there's a page and I follow the brand.
They hit the back.
So it's a big brand.
Yeah.
Now the brand's quite good.
Yeah, I use my hands. So with most of my techniques, I don't use any pieces of equipment. So if I'm going to do anything, I do it via thumbs or the heel of the hand. So yeah, I feel like I'm comfortable enough to have control over that. And then I also use dry needling, which is acupuncture needling.
Did spoke about that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you put it in the muscle itself for the muscle to relax.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's hectic.
That's Chinese medicine, right?
I have a question. So, like, we're talking about everything medical right now. There's people probably gonna watch this podcast that's gonna want to look at what's the price range, how much are they gonna pay, and how much will a consultation cost them, and like where your practice is at. So so they can stick it and maybe
Okay.
do something.
So so thank you for that. My practice is in Tukai Road, which is just opposite the Blue Route Mall.
So quite accessible to.
I'm actually one of his clients, actually.
Yes.
So it's interesting.
What a coincidence! Yeah.
a winky dink.
Bias.
Yeah?
Being biased, yeah.
So yeah, in
Explain.
Tukai Road, number 13, and I'm in a practice with a couple of other practitioners. So I'm a partner in the practice. So I'm in physio we call it a sole proprietor. You own your own practice. And in the facility, I've got my treatment room as well as a communal gym studio where we do rehabilitative training. So that's strength and conditioning training with our clients. And as far as consultations go, so I spend between 45 minutes and an hour with each client, and the price ranges from, I think it's nearly about 700 Rand for first consult, and then follow-ups are a bit less. But if anybody comes via the Babbling Heads podcast, I'm willing to do a significant discount.
Sasa. I actually got the neck problem. I actually got the neck
Anybody
problem.
who's seen me here on the podcast in the audience and comes through and says, "Yeah, I saw you.
That's dope.
You
That's
chat there. Then we'll give you a discount for sure."
Have you ever checked out the floating thing? Where
I did that.
they put
Okay.
Sensory deprivation
Yeah,
tank.
I did that.
Not
They
the
put
floating
like a-
thing.
It's dope.
Yeah, man, I'm getting to it. So, yeah, it's now salt in the
Floating.
water. But I've been to a chiropractor, no? Who called the guy just on the opposite, just when you take the
Around the
bend.
corner.
Yeah, around
Yeah.
the corner from you. I went to him. But years
How
later,
can you?
I was didn't know.
Yes.
I was didn't want the bubbling is to get the discount.
Can't believe it.
But I went for the floating thing, no?
Yeah.
And I was chilling there for like say 40 minutes, whatever, no?
Yeah.
And I just did this to my back and my whole spine. You could hear like the whole spine just
Yeah.
crack. Dude, it was the best feeling ever, bro. So do you recommend stuff like that as well for your clients?
Yeah, I haven't ever referred somebody for that, but I see there's massive value in it, you know, because just what it does for relaxation. What I encourage people to do is to find something that helps you switch off, helps you relax, helps you unplug, whatever that might be, whether it's a 1,000
Meditation,
Rand massage at a spa in Stellenbosch, or if it's
No, does
getting
it come
onto
with a happy
music.
ending? Because 1,000 Rand for a massage, maybe.
Or if it's getting onto the top of Muizenberg Mountain and just, you know, having the wind blow through your hair or your lack of hair, whatever it is. but just like
Straight from the top of the dome.
start to prioritize finding things that help you to disconnect, relax. It could be as simple as reading or stretching session, because I think that our problem is that we've got this thing that's begging for our attention all the time. And when we give it our attention, there's complex brain chemical reactions to
Yeah.
it that keep us wanting more, but it's not really good for us long term. We should be looking at ways in which we can get away from it as well.
Has there been any studies done, like, there's like two things. Firstly, like, growing up as a teenager, whatever, it's like we were told to emulate a certain way of walking, which on the Cape Plains was called rolling. No, so we had this gait, we had slouching shoulders, or slip by bean. I just like thought about it, like, has it had any detrimental effect for those kids growing up? Like, that was us really. It's like we had the Sakai roll. You remember that term, Sakai roll?
Yeah.
Why limping, Ty? Why?
It's like, why lumping?
Yeah.
But I mean, those are things that happen as a result, not necessarily of peer pressure, but cultural things that might affect you at a later stage, because now you're messing with your spine inadvertently. But then another thing is like choosing the right bed. I mean, we like say, hey, wait, fuck, this mattress is too expensive. We can't go pay 6,000 rand for a mattress. But then realistically, if you had a proper Siemens coil spring mattress, etc., you wouldn't be having those back issues. So choices like that, I mean, has it been like in the industry like an informed decision to say like, for your better health, it's like, because you're spending X amount, 8 hours max maybe on a bed sleeping.
That's an important thing, because if you think about how much you sleep now, a lot of creatives actually struggle with getting enough sleep. It's one of those things that, creativity seems to be in a better environment for it in later hours, in the quiet time of the day. You find a lot of creatives. So creatives generally don't sleep very well, but if one considers that you should be sleeping at least 7 or 8 hours if you want optimum performance, particularly as a physical practitioner. So as someone who's a b-boy wanted to compete at Olympic level, you need to sort your sleep patterns out. And 7 to 8 hours is a third of your day, that you spend in that position or trying to rest and recover. So the quality of your bed is important. So what I would say is it's an investment. And again, so that's changing your approach and thinking about it's an expense. Just look at it differently and look at it as an investment. And then the other thing is to know that a lot of name brands, pretty much all the name brands in South Africa, are all assembled in the same warehouse here in Cape Town. So whether you're buying a Simmons, Sealy, Certa, Cloud9, Restonic, or the bed shops brand that they have, they're pretty much all made with the same materials here. It's just that you pay different licensing fees to put the branding on there, so that when it goes into the shop, if they're selling a Simmons, it's more expensive because the Simmons license is more expensive. And sometimes they're using some better materials, but on the large whole, it's as long as you're getting the right elements in a bed, expect about 8 to 10 years out of it.
As a creative, you were saying that as a creative, if that struggles to sleep, like I design or so at night and stuff like that, but the one thing I always notice that makes me sleep well is if I exercise. If I exercise that day, then I sleep well. If I don't exercise or something, if I skip an exercise or something like that, then somehow that night I don't sleep well. Just if you almost like if you exert your body to a certain level, then you almost you shut down. Naturally, your brain shuts down. Wants to shut down.
It's one of the questions I ask somebody who says they struggle to sleep. What could it be? The first thing I ask is, do you exercise regularly? Because it's that body balance, So you push yourself, so you need the time to relax, and your body automatically.
I ride my mountain bike to work, so I'm lucky enough. That's like a sort of enough exercise. But if I put more on top of it, I sleep like a baby. So I think it's how you exert your body and your mind. So maybe like what are you thinking of that's making you, or what is your are you unhappy with something? That's why maybe you're not sleeping. But
Have you tried the CBD oil?
The CBD oil, I haven't tried that yet.
Dude,
the CBD
your
oil.
sleep is like vivid, man. Like
I heard a lot of people mention the CBD oil actually as
I can remember
as a
if I drink
sleeping.
that, I can remember my dreams, dude. And it's like creative dreams, like dope, dude. CBD water, bro.
But I think, like, look, realistically, as a creator, firstly, we are tapping into different parts of our brains that are not quite necessarily used by the normal layperson. So our mind, like Barry mentioned, the complex chemistry is going on. Firstly, when you exercise, aren't you releasing serotonin and endorphins, etc.?
Yeah.
So that levels, like if you're just lying on the couch watching TV and, okay, now you go tip, having a beer and go sleep, that's your body chemistry is completely different to somebody that's exercising. That's not releasing that endorphin, because that serotonin gives you that happy feeling. Now you're chilling, almost like a dopamine that you get when you're tucking.
You're thinking you're not
I ain't
sleeping at all.
But
You're destroying your body.
talking about CBD oils, fun fact is, like, I was reviewing footage quite a while back, and Hildu's got quite a large library of footage from the events. Barry, at one stage, you were sporting long dreadlocks. Tell me, were you actually part, like, of the Rastafari movement, or was it a choice, cultural choice, or were you just like in your university days, or, you know, being a
so that
rebel?
was the like that start at UCT where I was now out of school, out of the box, and just exploring different things. And I just thought I wanna just like not conform. And a lot of things I've done has actually been driven by that non-conformist. Trying to not so much rebel, but to try and create my own lane, you know, and at that stage it was a little bit about appearance, and so I grew dreads, and that's when I was starting to break and stuff. And then I actually just found the big long dreads, because they were heavy eventually, down to my waist, was holding my breaking back. And so, and my neck was getting injured from this whoop of the dreads all around. I think that probably footage from ABC at the Podium Hall is when I last had dreads, 2003 or 4. And then I finished varsity, and I thought, okay, now it's an era ending, let me cut it. And then, like, from there, I really felt like my breaking also elevated, because there wasn't this extra thing holding me back.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I wasn't Rastafarian. I did enjoy things from the cannabis tree. So, but it wasn't part of a religion or
Check, I don't know if you know the UFC commentator Joe Rogan. He has a problem with chiropractors. The chiropractor.
But he's a physiotherapist.
There's a difference. He's a physiotherapist, and a chiropractor is a difference.
Isn't it the same thing?
No, chiropractors are like
okay, what's the difference? What's the difference then?
So chiropractors are more concerned with the alignment around the spine primarily. And I don't want to offend any chiropractors by getting the definition wrong, but primarily it's around realignment of the spine, and by doing so you make sure the spinal cord, which is inside of the spinal column, the bony structure, is functioning properly, so then your organs in your body all function properly, and that takes care of the problems. Physio is an approach of looking at
the muscle,
the nerves, the muscles, joints, ligaments, tendons. So it's a mix of soft tissue and the bony structures. And more, I guess we'd see more acute injuries. So you sprain your ankle, you come and see a physio. You've got more of a long-term issue. You might then see a chiro for an alignment, a realignment, or an adjustment. But we also do longer-term problems also. So it's, I guess chiro was traditionally more of an alternative approach, but it's now way more mainstream, and physio was more of a within medical science. But there's so much crossover, and as you grow more as a practitioner, for me in physio, I've seen, you know, at first you're like, but they different, and we like this and they like that, and then you start to see, well, we all want the same thing. We all want to create an environment where the body can heal itself, because that's what the body's designed to do. It's designed to heal itself, but we have to, as a physio, as a chiro, as an osteopath, as a whatever it might be, is create that environment for the body.
So
no, blik dat stupid mistake gemaakt. Dus I actually learned from that now.
Yeah.
yeah, so like in how I went to him is I dislocated my shoulder, right? So I popped when I went to the hospital, they popped my shoulder back in. But now obviously the shoulder is now still weak after I dislocated my shoulder. So I went to him and he helped me and I enjoyed working with him myself because he asked me things about myself and you do a bit of exercise and stuff like that. And we did I think 1 or 2 sessions together. And then he gave me obviously the what was it called, the bands and stuff like that. So he gave me almost like he gave me a few exercises. He told me what to do. He explained to me what is going on here, why the one muscle is not working and underdeveloped and stuff like that. So he broke things down to me, and then he obviously gave me the exercises I must do, and then not sent me on my way, but I could then go further and rehabilitate myself. So I didn't have to stay with him working for 10 weeks. Obviously, some people as with more injuries worse than mine have to stay there. But that's I enjoyed that interaction because he gave me the tools to help myself, and he told me that as well. He said, "Listen, this is up to you if you're gonna strengthen the shoulder." So still today, I know that exercises and I use that exercises to work the shoulder sometimes, and I enjoy that interaction. I actually need to go back to him since now we did in a discount because I got this headaches coming from here in the back of my neck, and they said it's actually my pillow. So we spoke about the bed earlier. I've got a new bed. Bed is fine, but now I'm finding the pillow, or probably I slept wrong or something.
So when I said history is important, so the first thing I would start to think when you pointed on that left side and it's the left shoulder that's the problem. So is there something that's compensated over time for the shoulder that's now getting you there? But we'll get into that when we see.
So you see, history comes into play because it is on the side, and there is like a pain in the back on the left, on that side. So it, like you said, like history is important.
Yeah. So I mean that's one of the biggest things I think is important for any practitioner who's handling a patient is you need to equip them and empower them with the tools, you know, because, and that's what my workshop series have always been about, is to equip the dancers with the tools that they can then become. I always talk about a high performance artist. Yeah. So you are an artist, but there is this element of your performance that is as intense as any sport out there, any high performance athlete. Yeah. So bring the information across to the artist and then help them to see that this is a need in their approach if they want to actually achieve the highest levels and sustain that.
Yeah, because I like the fact that you're actually mentioning it or referring to them as artists, because a lot of guys see themselves. I saw B-Boy Mikey saying he wants to quit the whole scene. And I told him, look, being a professional athlete is but one avenue that's available to you. As an artist, as a creative, there are so much other avenues available. You could be coaching, you could be doing theater productions. He's featured in Jack Paddo's music videos. It's like, dude, it's like, don't just give it up because now you've hit the peak, because not everybody can be B-Boy Benny, not everybody can be B-Boy The Curse or Flame or whoever. If you're looking at our top tier athletes, but within the industry, there's so much more that can be done. And especially like what we're doing on the ground with Hilda Wood, it's like going into the community, giving back. Yes, it's going to take time to get funders, etc. But there is sustainable options other than just being that number one. Because it can only be one winner at BC1 every year. Yeah. There can only be one winner that goes to Battle of the Year. But there's a lot of stuff that can happen creatively as well as on a community level where you can sustain yourself, do work. Even The Curse has done a lot of theater productions internationally. So guys are going there doing the work, but you can't just sit every year and wait for BC1 and now you don't make it because you're not doing this. This is like, I know Emil's had this argument and a lot of guys have had this issue pertaining to say, where Emil says a full-time B-boy who's just 9 to 5 is putting bread on the table compared to somebody that's doing an office job and doing after hours B-boying. Both are important, but I mean the drive and the need and the hunger to win and to progress is going to be different for if it's your whole basically your livelihood depends on it.
What I think is important there, you said it, is that what I feel like more of the, especially the dance community, but it goes across for all the artists in like the hip hop community, is see and try to to understand your role in the community, because I know I've defined for myself that, I'm not gonna make it into certain levels of competition because I don't have the time to train like those guys who are making it train. But also I see that there's a different need that I can fulfill. And if I was to only rate myself by my ranking in a BC1 setup, then I'd lose a lot of hope and leave the scene long time ago. So I've spoken about like look at this thing as a house. Are you a brick in the walls, or are you a front door, are you a window, are you a roof? What do you do? Because we can't all be front doors. The front door is what everybody sees first, that everybody walks. It's very important. You can't build the whole house with front doors. So
doors get kicked in also.
Yeah. so start to see your role. Are you somebody who's gonna do better as a coach, as a teacher? Having been in the scene, but being able to actually develop others to a higher level beyond you, or you're gonna be a support base for people like I do with the medical side and being a physiotherapist who's a dancer, or are you gonna be someone who just gives some kind of administrative support? I mean,
that's why I see myself primarily as a hip hop administrator. It's like there's so much. The devil is in the details when it comes to whatever you're working. If you're doing work with government, etc., it's like unless your paperwork, your admin is in order, you can be the best artist, but you can have the worst management.
But I see like events like the Olympics coming up. When it comes to the Olympics, you're gonna be not just a stone, you're gonna be a cornerstone. You're gonna be extremely important. You know what I'm saying? If you are involved in that,
and I definitely want to be able to give that kind of support to the South African team or whoever it is that goes to represent us. Or if not me, then somebody. Like what I would want to make sure of is that detail is covered. That we don't try and prepare a professional performance team without those elements of a medical sports team. Some kind of administrator, some kind of media and marketing detail as well covered. So it's a team approach. It's not just put an athlete on a plane and they go and perform. We definitely need a broad base of support.
I actually tried reaching out recently. There was a Westcrow event Zoom conference that I attended, and I think Professor Brandon, I can't get his surname now, but he's with CPUT, medical science, sports science. And I actually reached out to him to find out like how can we try and get a collaboration going with South African Breaking Association in terms of the support required for professional athletes now. And like with it, because this is a new field pertaining to how we actually is now finally recognized in the sense that we can now go and do this. But
I think the big thing is that taking something that was a street art and now defining it as a sport is proving quite challenging because we're doing something from nothing. We've got examples of football and rugby and tennis. They've all got federations, etc. But we've never had it. We've not been doing it for hundreds of years, and so that's been a massive learning curve to see the holes in the walls of the house. So to actually see, okay, sure, we got a whole lot of people that want to be front doors here. We need.
But we need a good foundation.
But I think the foundation is definitely there. It's definitely there.
The talent is there. I know that. We just need to build that foundation.
It's exciting to see the new. I mean, if you think about hip hop, where it started from to being. I mean, the categories in music was never televised at Grammys, no? Was never televised. From that to this now, man. It's really dope to see, man. And it's nice to see that there's elements. The building blocks is there already. So it's when you guys talk about, especially when you talk about now the federation and whatever, it's very interesting to see. Because I don't know the administration side that much, man. So I'm learning now. It's very interesting to see how the blocks come together now. I'm excited to see when I see Olympics. It's
2024 for the Paris Olympics and 2026 for the Youth Olympic Games in Dakar. But yeah, we are currently working with trying to get the association registered completely with Department of Social Development so we can get affiliate membership with Dance Sport South Africa. Because that's one of the requirements in order to work with, because the Olympics for b-boying is being handled by the World Dance Sport Federation. So as a local body representing b-boys across South Africa, we now need to get our admin in order to make sure that that happens, because with anything, due process needs to be followed. So we need to make sure that we are accountable, above board, etc. Our financials are there, our constitution is there, our membership is there. So we can't go to a sponsor and say, look here, give us R1 million for developing the sport, and you don't have any paperwork to back it up. You don't have any, I would say, legitimacy based on that or references. So that's why it's very important to involve the right people with track records, undisputed track records, where they can say, look here, we can trust these organizations, this body of people from across the country, to develop the sport, because it's not just about us. The existing event organizers, b-boys, practitioners, etc., but we're looking at the development of the youth. Because this is the first time, and it's monumental in the fact that what was never considered quite good enough to be a classic dance, quite good enough to be a sport, is now being recognized. But like I said, once again, this is but one platform that is available to those that decide to go the pro route, but also the developmental part is important, so that we can say, look here, you maybe achieved as a child, you've done 5 years of b-boying or b-girling, but now you can go into theater, you can go into that, or you diversify and you choose, perhaps at a later stage, you want to do contemporary, or you want to do ballet, or whatever the case may be, or you want to be completely something different. You want to be a journalist, and you want to follow this journey, or you want to be a physiotherapist, a biokineticist,
I think that the
nutritionist.
The b-boys also need to realize that this is a more professional platform, whereas I know a lot of b-boys puff THC, even though it's legal to do it at your home. When
it comes to Olympic level, you'll fail the dope test.
You know what I'm saying? I think UFC, they only now allowed THC to
Yeah, that is so. Yeah.
But let's hope that they will.
On that point, I wanted to ask you: have you ever worked with any professional fighters?
No, I haven't. Professional other sports, but not fighters.
Interesting, because there's obviously the EFC now in South Africa, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe I must share this. So one of the EFC fighters or one of the professional fighters must
Well, like they said, if you can tag Nikki Notes in, and she can put it out.
There we go.
If we have the viewers watching it, that they have access to the discount if they need some conditioning and training.
Well, that is quite interesting, because that the UFC or the MMA industry is quite they're able to monetize it. I think that's why it's grown quite so quickly. And I look at hip hop, and I'm looking at why they're not able to. Why are you guys having to do all these admin things only now? It's maybe only because they're able to monetize it now. Is that the reason why there's a interest in it being going into the Olympics? I don't know. That's a question.
In terms of Olympics, it was the fact that the Olympics was becoming stale.
Okay.
It was an older crowd, and they were looking to get more
fresh, young eyes.
So that's why the likes are, I think, surfing,
skateboarding, yeah,
climbing.
That other guy is going to the Olympics, eh? That guy that we're trying to get on. What's his name?
Jean-Marc.
Yeah,
Jean-Marc.
He's going to the Olympics, yeah.
No, he's dope.
Yeah. So I think what I wanted to say there
the monetizing was
is that it's been thousands of years that people are prepared to pay to watch fights.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that people pay to watch people fight, but they're not always going to be so keen to watch people dance.
Yeah.
You know,
Battle.
just in terms of how come, why is UFC so big? And I mean, it's like WWE. How did that become a multi-billion?
But we all watched it when we kids.
Yeah, of course, because we want to watch people fight. You know?
So yeah,
the battle is also a fight. The dance battle is also like
okay, so I just wanna say something quickly, man. Like when we go into the Olympics, no, like we need a support system, and for the b-boy that we're sending over, right? Like you spoke about rugby also earlier on, where you said like when we watch rugby, it's like, yes, I had to boys. Since like for example, I had Benny, I had to boy. Like there needs to be like a support. Like you even need to go with him because like you need to make sure that that man is in top condition.
Yeah.
And but you need to be there as kyk jy kry die manne sponsors op laat iemand vir my gap maak vir like wat vir ons represent man. Wat ons culture represent. So we like daar was nog nooit geweest.
Even a head doctor.
Yeah, there was never. I've never
keep
so.
him positive, man.
I've never in this b-boy scene. I've never seen every b-boy just sitting with that man that we're going to send over, and just like okay, ons het gesê ons kyk gou goed hier wat alles die man het. As hy reg vir die like there was I never saw that. You understand? And that's the type of support we need in the b-boy community right now. Because if that isn't there, then how are we expecting? We're just sending that man now off alone, and then gaat doen your thing, and then the rest of the b-boys.
That actually happens in the DJ community, né? It's just it's like Wally twee brasse samen. Wat like hulle sit en okay, so ek ons sit uit vir Best Club DJ. As hulle saam uit by niemand weet eintlik dat hy 'n team by hom, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's really important to have that support. I think also what will come is because breaking will now get a little bit more media attention. The names of the competitors are going to become household names, so you're going to get a fan base that grows. And you know, this year, well, whenever we have our first competitor that goes to the world champs to represent South Africa before the Olympics, because there'll be qualifiers
every year
for the next
Why are
3
we
years.
acting like there's a different bra? Isn't there only one bra that's dominant? The curse?
No. There'll be, I
No,
mean,
no.
it's open to anybody on the day. You know,
Benny
anybody
can
who.
work the curse anytime.
Is it?
Benny's it, man.
Yeah, so I mean, so whoever gets to go.
So who's the champ?
Benny? For
Undisputed.
me?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's so many that.
Taufik's also
Your brasses.
Yeah.
Your
So like,
brasses on that
everybody has a favorite, but at the end of the day, it's like Barry said, it's like those guys have to train and they need to be in top shape and form in order to compete.
Who's your favorite
B-boy
ever?
Ever.
But not
South Africa.
Cape Town. There's nog wel allemaal.
Sure.
I mean, mine is POC.
Ramon.
Nee, Ramon, nie die een na Ramon. Late 90s, hy het ingekom.
Ishmael.
Wat sy naam, man?
Dus je voor POC.
POC, ja. Was Ramon eerste, en toen kwam maar nog een B-boy lang. Unfortunately is Maningal nou. Ja,
You didn't even know your favorite DJ, your favorite B-boy's name.
Ik heb dus geweten de difference van de chiropractor en
No, man.
God blame me. Maar gaan jullie aan elke twee zijn?
I'll say like for me, like in my time coming back into hip hop since 2006, I would say Benny has stood out as for me as one of the best.
Who's Benny?
B-boy Benny, multiple hip hop
Is he the one with the beard?
No, that's Curse.
That's Curse, yeah. Okay,
Benny's got
so who's
the
Benny?
Benny? Go search Benny Burgess.
So,
Alfred Burgess.
Yeah.
so he hasn't been.
I mean, he's been for
Not
years. I
4
mean,
years. He's taken the past, I think 4 years, he hasn't been that competitive.
Okay, so the past 4 years has been the curse.
Yeah, I say so. Yeah, but he hasn't competed on that level. He
Okay,
hasn't.
so maybe I haven't seen Benny. Okay, and yours is? Yo, this is interesting.
No, it's a difficult one. Like my favorite b-boy to watch is Meaty from East River, just because I just love his style. I love how complete and how just how complete his style is for me. But over like from when I first started watching breaking in South Africa, the guy who stood out for me was Lela.
I didn't even know
He
these
was
guys.
like-
I need to check it
When
out.
I saw Lela the first time, I was like, yo, look at that. This bra can do everything.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah.
Okay, you know my answer. I think the curse is dope. Like, I think that the athleticism is like, it's crazy. Like, that's
Marky.
maybe he's not the best.
B-boy Marky.
I think he's the best.
B-boy?
Marky.
B-boy Marky.
Oh, Mark. Is it Macatrix, no? Trix or what was it called?
I don't know.
From
Hij
the
moet
plane
het
was
trainen, hij moet het trainen aan POC, ne?
Mm.
Die ochtenden, dan gaat hij oor naar Black Noise en dat trainen aan Malou doen. I remember like being in a circle, en maak hem aan een windmill, ne? Maar dat hele windmill, like, uit lang voetigheid, man. Kijk je die wind wat ze voelt, die energy van hij, man. Daar was hij van hij, man. Nee, voor real.
Yo, that's poetic, man. I never heard B-boy this guy.
Win is by wings.
Okay, so my b-boy is obvious. You know who my b-boy is.
Say
It's Mouse.
yourself. Oh, mouse.
Nice. Kijk, I think he has the potential to be the best b-boy like in this country. All he needs to do is just polish his damn moves and stop ballanging, man. You understand? That's his only problem.
Balang as a move these days.
Like I actually had a conversation with him last night, and I told him, hey, bro, you can't expect yourself to be better when you create new moves every day and then not polishing your old moves. Like he has old moves that nobody has ever seen before. That's dope moves, but he didn't polish it.
But
He's
also,
amazing. He
also
really is.
repetition. If you're looking at the BC1 footage, it's like don't do the same move 4 or 5 times because then afterwards it's going to become null and void. People don't like seeing repeats. They want to see if you want to bring freshness, like do a move twice so that people can notice the move, but then you cap onto the next stuff. But don't do repeats, maybe.
Like for me, I know, like Curse for us is quiet. You know why? It's because his shirt is polished, maybe like to the T.
But also,
That's why he's so quiet. Like his polish game is on point.
I want to ask you guys something. Are you guys not like looking for? If you look at pound for pound, who's the best? Like, is he not the best? Like,
I think he's definitely one of the best competitors at the moment because of his approach. It's because of his discipline. It's because of his hard work. He's got huge ability also. And he's the one who's probably invested the most in himself.
Yeah.
He's traveled the most internationally. So he's competed in the last 10 years more than anyone else at an international level.
okay,
For
so
sure. And so that you see that when you
been on
see
him all the time.
and you see it in his presentation. The man's always
His
dripping.
marketability,
You know,
nice.
his approach with
is one of
with
the best business
yeah,
boys.
exactly. That was what I was about to say. Is that he's definitely got his marketing approach on point. He's professional.
Own brand.
He reminds me of this other UFC fighter called Demetrius Johnson, but he's also like a small stature guy. But if you look at it like pound for pound, he's like the best. But because maybe bigger other fighters, heavyweights, make bigger moves, so now it looks maybe more attractive. So people may be attracted to that. But I don't know. I just this is something I've seen that the racism is like, yo, that big bra can't do that, like that he can do. But maybe because his body's smaller.
There's definitely
or
a body type that you find
In the
of all
champions,
the top b-boys. They're all a certain stature, certain height, certain type of build.
1.56.
Yeah,
to
so it's like
1.6 meters.
almost all of them are like that. Now we come across these guys we've watched like on BC1 Stage International. You've seen on Freestyle Session at Battle of the Year, and you kind of idolize them, and then you meet them and you're looking
short.
Oh, okay, you Lilu, you just like that, and Junior, you just like that, and you know,
It's all
so
sorts of center of
is-
gravity plays a large role in it.
body to weight ratio, power to weight ratio is
Yeah.
important. Just like gymnasts, you know, gymnasts are built in the similar way.
Okay.
But you do get some taller guys.
Nick, especially from
And when they're
Matthias.
doing flares, then it looks more attractive, isn't it?
It kind of is impressive, yeah. I mean, that's definitely.
You must see
The
Charlie do
length.
plays.
Yeah, no, that's
Come on.
exactly Charlie doing a flare. It
That's
looks-
why his
that-
nickname is B-Boy lang genoeg, because when he's like flipping, he's a giraffe over here.
Yeah, but is that that's like the energy that you were talking about.
Yeah.
It's
Hey,
big.
Mama,
It's
lang
wow. It's like so it looks more, but I don't know. This is my point of view.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
I saw my dad fighting to pay.
No, there's a lot of similarities. I mean, definitely, as you said, you know, there was the kung fu influence, the approach of, you know, one versus another. All of that, there's lots of similarities. There's talk about in the early history that, you know, the gangs would settle their beefs with each other, but with the dance battle, and then there's certain guys wanted to kind of move away from the gangs, just focus on the dance.
Yeah, we're talking
And
about
that's how
Zulu
it-
Nation here.
Okay. Interesting. Some history also there for us.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, from us, the Babbling Heads, Kiki, if you guys need any medical attention in the field of physiotherapy,
Not chiropractor.
not chiropractic, we're not bone crackers over here. But yeah, hit Barry up. His practice is in Tokai, so it's quite close for those in the southern suburbs. But yeah, the man is offering, just quote the Babbling Heads podcast, and he'll hook you up with a.
And I can vouch for him being awesome. guy.
Quite a few of our friends have actually been there, so.
My brother, thank you for
Big ups.
doing this.
Sure.
I don't
Thank
know.
you for having
Nice.
me. I appreciate
Dope.
it.
Some shit.
And good to connect.
Salute us. We out.